outside shows are a lot different than outdoor patio shows. My name's Eric Andrews. I'm a local musician here in Cleveland, Ohio, and I play about 120 shows a year. And I am here to talk about the reality of the music side hustle. Some tricks, some hacks, that kind of stuff. And I am just wrapping up this weekend's show. It's Sunday. It's beautiful today. Beautiful fall day here in Northeast Ohio. Taking my dog walk. Dog's in the water over there. And let's see if I can show him to you. There he is. I don't know what he's doing. It's in the water. Anyway, I'm trying to figure out this gimbal here. It's got a little remote control on it. Anyway, so wrapping up the shows from this weekend. Friday night, I was at the Red Hawks Landing out in Jefferson, Ohio. Super cool place. It's one of those contemporary country wedding type venues. They have weddings there, and then they're also open on the weekends. And they have music and pizzas and food. They have really good looking food. So I was there. They do have a patio, but it was too cold to play on the patio. Junior, come. Hey, come. I'm trying to make this video. And so it was too cold to play outside, so I played inside. They actually had the doors open, which was nice. It was a little cold at the end, but it was pretty nice. But the thing you have to remember when you're transitioning in these shows from outside patios, where the sound is outside, it's pretty natural, to inside, a lot of these places aren't really set up for acoustically for music. So they're not treated and stuff like that. And especially these contemporary country, that's what I call them, contemporary country wedding venues, they tend to be super echoey. There's no sound treatment or anything like that. And this place is through no fault of their own, but it's pretty echoey in there. So as a musician, I think you have to adapt for that. So how I adapt for it is I really check my volume, and I basically turn the reverbs all the way off. There's so much natural reverb, you don't even need any reverb. And when I'm playing, I like to look around and just see if people are straining to talk. You could tell if they're straining to talk or if they can hold a conversation. And you can see if you're background music or if you're the focal, you can pick that up pretty quick. So I was able to adjust pretty good there. Had a great show. Started out a little slow. They were like, "Oh, we've been so busy." I'm like, "Uh-oh, that's gonna be a jinx." And show was 5:30 to 8:30. These hours are great. Great for a side hustle business. 5:30 to 8:30. That's what I played. And it was about 40 minutes from my house. So hours weren't bad. And they ended up getting pretty busy around 6:30. There's not that they're the only game in town out there, but I'm sure there's not a lot of options. So there was a pretty good crowd, pretty good night. The owners are super friendly, super nice. I like playing there. And then Saturday, last night, I played at Element 41 in Chardon, Ohio, right on the historic downtown square. Little restaurant. It was pretty cool. The square had a Halloween event going on that they didn't even know was going on. And so it was pretty busy. The square was busy. The restaurant was busy. They installed last year, they put in one of those garage doors in the front, so it's almost like a Nashville feel. But that was a challenge too, because it changes the sound. So the sound was open behind me, not quite a patio. I was still facing inside the restaurant. And it's pretty echoey in there too. Most of these restaurants and wineries, when you're playing inside, that's just what you're gonna get. So one thing that happened at the restaurant last night was there was a reservation. I looked out, I saw the reservation. I was like, oh, cool. Because that was a big party. I don't know, 12, 13, 14, 15 people, something like that. So I was like, all right, this will be cool. And the restaurant was pretty busy otherwise. But when they walked in, it was 4 adults and the rest were kids. And which is cool, it's fine. But the kids were super loud. I'm not crazy about it, but they were really loud. So at one point I was just like, and they were loud and just yelling and throwing stuff. And they weren't really very, sorry, but they weren't very well behaved. Which again, it's not a rock concert. I know, people aren't there just to see me, so that's fine. But at one point I was playing and it was just so loud and echoey. The restaurant's a little echoey anyway. I've played there a lot over the years, so I'm very familiar with the sound there and everything. And I've had great shows there, and I like playing there. It's close to my house. It's 10 minutes from my house. Centrally located for people that I know. So I love playing there, but there was about an hour when that table was there. It was just crazy. That kind of stuff's going to happen. And I certainly became background music at that point, and which is fine. You just have to adapt. I actually turned down a little bit because in a situation like that, the more I turn up to try and overcompensate that, they're just going to talk louder. The kids are just going to talk louder, which was what was happening. So I ended up turning it down, just doing some, not instrumentals, but I just went through some songs. And then I did take a break. That's when I took a break, which for about 20 minutes, about a 20-minute break. And we ended up getting through the night. Ended up being a good night. But that's one thing when you switch to playing inside, you have to, probably the biggest takeaway I could tell people is look out at the crowd and make sure people can have a conversation. It's not a rock concert at these restaurants and these wineries and stuff like that. You're entertainment, but you're background music too, and you don't want to overpower. If you could see people straining to hear, especially if they're not in the first row next to you, if they're in the middle of the restaurant or the back of the restaurant, you can tell they're having trouble having a conversation, then you're too loud. You need to turn it down a little bit. I always get a lot of compliments on that people are always like, you could hear you good or whatever, but it wasn't so loud that we couldn't talk. And I have people tell me that a lot. And so I think that's probably the biggest takeaway. So that's it for today. And hope you join my channel, subscribe for more. And I'm going to just keep documenting my story here. So thank you. Have a good day.